Assalamu alaikum, this is Dr. Monel Idrisi, author of the Muslim Narcissist book and empowerment coach for Muslims. Today's podcast is a follow-up Q&A about the reverse discard and the reverse Hoover. So after the last podcast, I received many questions about both subjects. So inshallah, I'm going to take the time out today before moving on to the next subject to answer the questions. I do recommend that you stay until the end of the podcast because some of the questions are really good and many of the answers could give you closure. So as usual, before I dive into the subject, I'd like to kindly ask you to click the like button if you found the content helpful, and please do share it with others whom you feel could benefit from this content. And you can subscribe to the channel to receive notifications of when I release future podcasts, and you can also sign up to the newsletter on the website to receive emails about podcast releases and news. And if you need one-to-one counselling and coaching, there's a link below that you can click on that will take you to a page on the website that has loads of information about the programs I offer and the sessions, and that will take you to a application form. So once you submit that application form, I will get back to you, inshallah. Okay? I help both men and women, and whether you're narcissists or codependents or you need marital counselling or mediation, I can provide you with guidance and support in the counselling and coaching that I offer. And of course, if you haven't grabbed a copy yet, do read the Muslim Narcissist book. It will help you make sense of all of these podcasts because these podcasts are supplementary to the book. And it will also help you if you can't currently afford therapy. Okay? So do read it, do go through the podcasts, and inshallah that will really help you on your healing journey. So without further ado, let's dive in, and we'll start off with the first question that I received in the comments, which is, I heard you saying in the last podcast that narcissistic people only respect high-level empaths who can walk away. But how come mine became so ugly in his words and deeds every single time I set firm boundaries? And when I walked away, it seemed like he wanted to destroy me even more. So there are three main reasons for this. The first reason is that boundaries are set too late. Boundaries that are not set from the beginning can get harder to implement later down the line in any relationship. Okay, you can apply this to any relationship. If from the beginning you stand up for yourself, you don't comply with unrealistic demands, you don't let them abuse you, disrespect you, walk all over you, take advantage of you, you don't tolerate their rubbish. If all of that is done from the beginning, it's very easy to implement boundaries throughout the whole relationship. Only high-level empaths can do that from the beginning because they're quick to recognize abuse and disrespect. If someone is codependent, it takes them a lot longer. And this is why so many people find themselves stuck in relationships with narcissists and there's no U-turn. There's no way back where they can implement the boundaries that should have been put at the beginning. Okay, this is why premarital counselling is so important. And inshallah, I will release a podcast about the things that you need to do before you marry somebody. So sometimes a codependent will be so deep into a relationship with a narcissist and it becomes impossible to implement new boundaries. The narcissist simply doesn't accept it. They don't accept it from you because it's too late. Okay, they've gotten used to you being a certain way and boundaries don't work with them. This is why divorce is an option at this point, or leaving the family home, or leaving a friendship. Because if a narcissist will not accept your boundaries and they won't respect them either, then it's downhill from there. It's not looking good from there. Okay, because if they will not respect you and refuse to cater to your needs, then how is that relationship ever going to work out? Now, there are exceptions to the rule where some narcissists will accept new boundaries if they are desperate to keep that source of supply. So let's say a victim has had enough of the narcissist and they want to divorce, they want to walk away. If that narcissist has no backburner, no new supply, then they will accept new boundaries just to suck that victim back into another cycle. Sometimes it's an awakening that they have. Sometimes when the victim finally stands up for themselves and walks away. They have an awakening, or they experience a narcissistic collapse that makes them realize that they can't be without their family, their husband, their wife, their parents, so they accept new boundaries. This can sometimes be long-term, this is very rare, and sometimes it's short-term, so they'll accept boundaries temporarily before they go back into their old ways. Other than that, it will be very difficult for anyone to implement new boundaries with a narcissist 10, 15, 20 years into a relationship. It's too late by then for most people, and the narcissist just gets annoyed. They ignore the boundaries, they don't comply, there's no respect. So that's a reason why they get worse when you try to implement boundaries, because you're challenging them here at this point. You're challenging their authority. You're trying to reclaim some power back here, and they're not allowing it. So they're reminding you who's boss. So that's why you get the beast that comes out, just to intimidate you and put you back in your place, because they like things the way they are. They like the relationship the way it is, and you are now disrupting it. You are now causing an inconvenience for them, so they need to, bring out the inner beast and have tantrums and rages and cause drama to scare you back into compliance and maintain order. That's why it happens. There's a famous story of a Kuwaiti couple who got married, and just 3 minutes later, they got divorced. And what happened was they were coming out of the courthouse after their nikah ceremony, and she tripped over her dress and she fell. And the groom laughed at her and he called her stupid. She got up, she went straight back to the sheikh's office and demanded an annulment, and the sheikh agreed with her. He said if it started like this, then it's not looking good. So he immediately granted her the annulment, and it's now the shortest marriage recorded in any country. And so many people hailed her for her self-respect and her self-worth, because she didn't care about who was there. She didn't care what people would say. She didn't care about the guests and the wedding that she had to go to afterwards. Her self-respect came first, because to a high-level empath, their dignity is everything. So when you're disrespected from the beginning, you have two options. You can either walk away, or you can place a firm boundary where you clearly communicate that you will not accept this behavior. And that's where you set the tone for the rest of the relationship, you see? So when it's not done early on, it's very difficult to do that later down the line after you have already endured so much abuse. Now, the second reason is they don't believe that you're capable of maintaining your own boundaries. So they will test you to see if they can break them, okay? So, for example, you tell them that you will no longer accept their behavior, or them not having a job, or their attitude, or you're placing boundaries when it comes to, duties and responsibilities and expectations. When you do that, it just causes them to test your boundaries and see if you can really uphold them. And they will push and push and push until you crack sometimes, because their behavior gets so unbearable, because they're constantly testing you. They're always testing your patience. They're always driving you to reactive abuse. And that's why you get worse when you place boundaries that are new, and they get worse. Rages, again, they're fueled. And this is how lots of people see that after they place boundaries, the narcissist gets worse. So they don't believe that the boundaries will last, because this is out of character for you. You've tolerated them for so long, why now? They're wondering, why are you brave now? Why are you placing boundaries that I can easily break? They challenge you this time. They say, let's see how long this will last. So they'll disrespect you in abhorrent ways just to get rid of your boundaries. And that's why so many victims can't uphold them, because they get mocked and belittled. So if they do manage to break your boundaries and they continue as normal and worse, they laugh at you. They say, well, you didn't get far with that, did you? They will make fun of you and say things like, oh, how cute, you're putting your big girl pants on now. You want to stand up to me? Who have you been talking to? Who's been brainwashing you? This isn't you. That's not who you are. I know you very well. You're not someone who can, stand up for themselves. You're not tough. You're trying to act tough. How cute. Bless your cotton socks. That's not going to work on me. I know who you are. So someone has been brainwashing you. It's your mother, isn't it? Or your crazy sister, the one I told you not to talk to anymore. Or maybe it's your weird auntie who's done black magic on you to separate us. Or it's your jealous divorced friends who are influencing you and wanting you to be as miserable as they are. Or maybe it's the neighbour. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Maybe you've got a jinn possessing you. Or, even worse than that, and I hope not, God forbid, that you're still listening to that Dr. Mona. I mean, if you're doing that, that will explain everything. That will explain all your behaviour. Because it's not like you to be standing up for yourself. It's not like you to be putting boundaries and holding me accountable for my abuse. No. You have to get that from someone else. And now you're banned from everything. You're banned from going out. You're banned from listening to Dr. Mona. You're banned from going out with your friends. And you can't see your mom and your sister anymore. And you definitely have to go for ruqya, because he's now convinced, or she's convinced, that you've been possessed by Iblis's son, right? For you to be standing up for yourself. So they mock you and they get worse. Everything and everyone is now a threat to them. And they get worse because they cut you off from everything that they assume is the problem. So now you're even more trapped and even more isolated from everyone, so that you don't have a support network. Okay? And the abuse will increase to stop you from ever daring to put new boundaries again. Okay, so they teach you a lesson by cutting you off from everyone whom they assume is the problem, and then they increase the abuse so that you see that there's no hope in putting new boundaries. You think, what's the point? I can't get out of this. Nothing works. So when they break the boundaries by testing you, by how far they can push them, and they win, not only does the abuse get worse, you also give up on standing up for yourself and so on. So when they manage to break your boundaries by testing your limits, it just confirms to them in their heads that it's outside influence, that it's not you. Someone has told you to do that, and that's why you're doing it, so they don't accept it. Okay? Now the third reason is pure punishment. So they're not testing you here, they're not pushing any boundaries, they're not mocking you. They will just go straight for the punishment. How dare you even think of putting a boundary? I will punish you for even thinking about it. Because during this process, when you're placing boundaries, you are withdrawing supply as well. For example, you might say to them, well, I'm not going to do this anymore for you if you're not willing to do this for me. I'm not going to react to you anymore. When you have your tantrums and rages, you're not going to provoke me to reactive abuse. I'm just going to sit here calmly. You're not going to make me do this anymore. I'm standing up for myself. So you are taking away a lot of supply, and that angers them. Not only are you placing a boundary, you are also calling them out and shaming them for what they're doing, and they see it as you punishing them by withholding supply. So it enrages them and they lash out. Their qareen will come out, they will have horrible rages. They will punish you in the worst ways. They will stop your allowance, they'll stop you going out, they'll stop you having any social life, they will stop doing things for you, they will stop so many things that they have control over to punish you. Well, if you're going to stand up for yourself and you're going to withhold my supply that I'm entitled to, then watch what I'm going to do to you. Watch how I'm going to make you pay for this, and make your life a living hell. Some people resort to physical abuse here when you put a boundary. The narcissist can't take it and they lash out physically as well. If not physically, then the verbal abuse will get a lot worse. The emotional abuse will get worse. They will use the God card here. They will religiously abuse you by telling you you're going to hell, and they start cursing you out loud. They start making loud dua against you. You know, loads of narcissists are notorious for doing things like this until you crumble and beg for forgiveness. That's what they want out of it. They want you to be terrified and beg them for forgiveness for taking away their supply. They want you to apologize for even thinking that was a good idea. But they will make you pay for it big time. So that's why lots of narcissists get worse when you stand up for yourself, especially when it's later down the line in the relationship. And this can be a relationship with any narcissist, your parent, your sibling, a work colleague, an employer, anyone. When you place boundaries too late, especially with a malignant narcissist, expect them to lash out in the worst ways. And sometimes, because they're so angry, you'll even get divorced. A talaq will come out when you start to place the boundaries. They brutally discard you because they would rather be without you than live with the humiliation of you placing these boundaries, especially if others are involved. If you get other people involved, like their family or your family, or a sheikh or an imam, that enrages them to the max. So if they're a malignant narcissist, be prepared for that brutal discard. Okay, they will turn it on you and they say, well, you turned out to be a nasty piece of work. If you're going to take away my rights, what I'm entitled to, I don't need you. So they will brutally discard you when you least expect it, because all you want to do is just have healthy boundaries in the relationship. You're not actually ready to leave. You've got children, you've got so much going on that makes it difficult for you to leave that marriage or that relationship or that job or your family home. And they know this. They know that you just want to protect your own rights, that you want some respect, you want some dignity. So they're thinking, well, they're not ready to leave, but I'm going to brutally discard them right now because it's the best punishment. So even if they don't have a backburner or a new supply lined up, they will do this to save their ego. Okay? And then the majority of victims will beg for that narcissist to come back. They'll beg for forgiveness if they still haven't learned the lesson. They wait for you to do that, especially if you are completely dependent on them financially and for other things. Okay, so the brutal discard often comes at this point from a malignant narcissist who wants you to beg and grovel, but this is your prime time to accept the discard and move on with your life if you can. Okay, so this is something you have to prepare yourselves for before you start implementing boundaries, especially if you're with someone like this. Or if you're dealing with someone like this in a different kind of relationship, like a narc employer. So I hope that answers the question. We'll move on to the next one, which is a malignant narcissist always physically abusive? My ex was extremely controlling. He isolated me from my family and close friends. He always suspected me of cheating on him, even though he was cheating on me. He tried to control my finances too. And it's absolutely true what you said about how co-parenting is a nightmare with them. I've come to learn he only makes an effort with his kids when he has no supply to busy himself with. Otherwise, he hardly contacts them. So I replied to this sister in the comments and I told her that it sounds like he's more psychopath than a malignant narcissist. So they're both different. Their core is still rooted in narcissism, but the malignant narcissist is one whose verbal abuse is loud, his physical abuse is open. They don't hide their abuse and their rage. The psychopath is more sinister, and inshallah I'm going to record a podcast about the psychopath personality disorder. They're more sinister and they work more behind the scenes. They are more concerned about controlling your psyche than anything else. So you will see them have their outbursts, you will see them have their rages, and they could be physically abusive, but only when they're really pushed. Whereas the malignant narcissist is like that all the time. They're always screaming, shouting, yelling, cursing. They're always abusing their family members when they get to that stage. But the psychopath is more calculated. The psychopath is very clever. And they know how to control you and have you completely dependent on them. And it's done in the name of care, in the name of love, in the name of Islam. But they're controlling to an unbearable level. They will control everything in your life, your day-to-day decisions. They will control how you think, how you see the world. And this is done subtly. You don't realize it's happening until you're deep into it. But the malignant narcissist is not intelligent. They have very low IQ. And they act like children when they're angry. So they struggle with regulating their emotions, and they don't know how to express them in a healthy way. So they lash out so much. So when I say they're always like this, I mean when they're angry, when they're irritated, when they're frustrated, when they're annoyed, they will just lash out and they'll start cursing. And that's why so many of them scream so much. If you're with someone who screams a lot, or they're always yelling, and this comes with kicking, hitting, smashing things, you're with a malignant narcissist, whether they're possessed or not, okay? Because many of them are possessed by shayateen, but regardless of that, you're with a malignant narcissist. Because when they get to the stage of physical abuse, even if they're not hitting you, if they're smashing everything, if they're breaking furniture, if they're destroying property, then they've reached malignant stage, because they have no idea how to express themselves in a healthy way. So this is a dangerous level of narcissism where your own well-being will be at risk. Your life could be at risk. But the difference between the psychopath and the malignant narcissist is the malignant narcissist is not brave enough to actually end someone's life. The psychopath can. Okay, that's why there has to be a different podcast about the psychopath's mind, and it's coming, inshallah. So they're more calculated, and when they put their all into a victim, they will forget other people. And that's why so many of them, when they find new supply, they forget about the ex. They forget about their children, because they hone in on their prey. So all their energy and resources are spent there. Unlike the man-child or the woman-child narcissist who play the field, so they have multiple sources of supply. They have backburners and new people they meet. And because they're low-effort people, they don't put their all into relationships. They can give breadcrumbs to different people and hold them on puppet strings. Whereas the psychopath usually hones in on just one. And when they do that, do not expect them to turn up for the kids. Do not expect them to be chasing you. They just disappear. They go ghost. It's how they operate. Okay, and that's what makes them so strange, and that's why they are the ones who usually stalk people, and they spend so much of their time doing that. Think of how patient lions are in the savannah when they have their minds set on a particular prey. Right, they've spotted a gazelle amongst loads of other gazelles. They've chosen that one to pursue, and they will wait it out until the right time. And once they catch you, it's very hard to run away. They are top predators. So their minds are different, but they are both narcissists in their personalities. Just one operates differently from the other. And that's why it will be interesting, inshallah, to take a deep dive into that. But expect these people as well to reverse Hoover you later down the line if they are unable to catch their prey. So if that doesn't go well for them, or if it falls apart, then they will show up as a great father again, or a great mother, and they will do things in the community and hope that, those good deeds reach you, and it makes you think that maybe I made a mistake. You self-doubt. You're like, well, maybe I rushed to make a decision in divorce because it seems like he's changed or she's changed. The kids are really enjoying their time with them now, and they're excited to see them, and Baba keeps talking about, being a family again, and Baba says he misses us, and Baba this and Baba that. That's how they reverse Hoover you if they're psychopaths. They mess with the psyche of the children, and they make the children be the ones who want the family again. So they know that the children are going to carry the message, but they make it look like it's the children's idea for the parents to get back together. So you start to notice that the children start talking more about their dad and more about wanting, their parents to get back together and this and that. It's because of what these psychopaths are feeding them. And this is how you get reverse hoovered, because you now want to do what's best for the children. You feel guilty. You're feeling, well, maybe it's best that we get back together, then have the children go through this, you see? And then what the psychopath will do as well is pretend to be very depressed. They'll pretend to cry around the kids. And when the kids ask them, Baba, why are you sad? He's like, I miss my family. I miss this, I miss that. I'm alone. Your Baba's all alone. Your Mama's all alone. She has nobody. Your mum has her family, and your mum has this, and your dad has that. I'm just on my own out here. They get the kids to feel sorry for them, and then those kids become their messengers. And the kids work on you without realizing the game because they're too young to know. And then you end up getting sucked back in. You're the one who ends up suggesting it. You see, it's very clever. And this psychological warfare and manipulation is exactly what Iblis is best at. And it's the tactic he used to manipulate Adam alayhi salam. So the psychopath is closer to Iblis in character than any other type of narcissist. Okay, the psychopath is the most dangerous. So when they reverse hoover you, you're in trouble. If you fall for it, if you get manipulated, unfortunately, the cycle that comes after that is dangerous. And it can lead to fatal consequences. Okay? Someone asked me in the comments if narcissists are devil shayateen or human devils. The answer is yes. Any narcissist or psychopath is shaitan ins. These are the demons Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about in the Quran, who are enemies to believers because they set out to destroy them. They hate good people, they destroy their lives, they abuse them, they manipulate them. So narcissists and psychopaths are shayateen al-ins, who work with shayateen al-jinn, like their qareens and other jinns and iblis, to take down people who love Allah, people who are good-hearted, people who strive to do good in the world. They attack them. Okay, so you have to beware. These people can be your family members as well. They can be your close friends, your colleagues, your employers, your husbands, your wives, your own children. And yes, there's a podcast, inshallah, coming soon about children who are the narcissistic abusers. And when I say children, I mean teenagers and older. Even though some young children can be an absolute nightmare as well to deal with. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not hold them accountable. If children are a nightmare to deal with, there's an issue in the family. Or there's an issue with the parenting. But some children grow up to become monsters and they treat their parents horribly. So we will talk about that inshallah soon. So I hope that answers the question. And the same person also asked, is there the concept of team narcissist, community narcissists, tribal narcissists, and state narcissists? Can a whole society be brainwashed or all be narcissists? So the answer is yes and no. It all depends on the level of nafs people have. So if the people have a narcissistic leader, then narcissism will be fueled in people because the leader enables it. He allows it. The rules that he creates are in the benefit of narcissistic individuals. So it fuels horrible behavior in societies. You see? Now, if people have a high level of nafs, then it's not going to affect them. The leader people have can influence the way people behave. Think of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. He managed to create social order even amongst those who are psychopaths and narcissists because of his leadership. His leadership was excellent. So he didn't enable narcissistic behavior. He managed to keep a lid on it and had a great justice system and held everyone accountable for all their crimes and their sins. So people couldn't get away with oppression and abhorrent social behavior because people respected him. And they also feared him. Iblis himself feared him, let alone the people. So it depends on the leader of the community. They will either enable it and fuel it, or they will put a lid on it to suffocate it. The leader can help people become better. Okay? So if you see a society that's riddled with narcissism, and the majority of people in that community or in that country are horrid people, there's so much crime, there's so much oppression, there's so much injustice, then look at the leader. And you can apply this to homes as well. You just look at who the qawwam is, because the family members reflect the qawwam. If the qawwam is strong and wise and intelligent and he's gentle, then the fruits of that will show up in the family members. But if he's not like that, then you'll see a lot of dysfunction, a lot of anger, a lot of raging, a lot of screaming, a lot of disorder in the home. So if a leader promotes the good, encourages the good, the more people will be inclined to show up as their better selves. But if the leader is not good, then people will show up as corrupt, whether that's morally, spiritually, psychologically, and it affects the whole community. Okay? Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu reported that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said, ألا كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته فالإمام الذي راع وهو مسؤول عن رعيته والرجل راع على أهل بيته وهو مسؤول عن رعيته. Every one of you is a shepherd and is responsible for his flock. The leader of a people is a guardian and is responsible for his subjects. A man is the guardian of his home and he is responsible for his family members. And in Surah Yusuf, verse 53, Yusuf alayhi salam says, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي إِنَّ رَبِّي غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. And I do not seek to free myself from blame, for indeed the nafs is ever inclined to evil, except those shown mercy by my Lord. Surely my Lord is all-forgiving, most merciful. So when Yusuf alayhi salam said that the nafs is always inclined to evil, this is in the case when there are no laws. And divine law, Allah's law, keeps the nafs pure and elevated if you stick to it. Okay? So the nafs is not evil by nature. But if we were to all follow our desires and chase our desires all the time, we'll get ourselves into a lot of trouble. So our leaders have to be people who love and respect divine law so that the people can flourish. Okay, so that people can get better. If the leaders of homes and societies and countries and khalifas do not respect or love divine law, then yes, the majority of people will become narcissists. Okay? And that's why the campaign of do whatever you want, do whatever makes you happy is satanic. Because it pushes people to follow their desires, listen to their waswas, act on impulse, and look where it's got us. Look how messed up society is now. Because there's no divine law that's being placed at the center of society and the home anymore. People are chasing lust and greed and fame and status and wealth, and they forget all their morals in the process. So yeah, whoever leads you has the ability to fan the flames of your nafs that's already at a low level. Okay? And someone also asked what kind of narcissist was Fir'aun. He was a mix of the two worst personality disorders. He was a malignant narcissist and he was also a psychopath because he murdered hundreds and thousands of people. And he was outward in his abuse. I will speak more about this when I record the podcast about the psychopath, inshallah. But honestly, whoever's married to someone like this, who has a combination of both, you're going straight to Jannah. You've got a golden fast-track ticket to Jannah, like Asiya radiallahu anha, because it's hell living with someone like that. You can't get worse than that. that is the worst human being you could ever come across. Someone who has a combination of all those traits. May Allah help those who are suffering at the hands of someone like this. These are the worst abusers, whether they're your parents or your siblings or your spouses. It's not a life. It's a horrific experience, and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can rescue those people. Now this takes me on to the next question, which is, how can someone deal with the reverse discard and reverse Hoover with family members? And how to be mindful of Allah and not violate the rights of family members who reverse discard and reverse Hoover regularly. Okay, so when you're dealing with family members who constantly put you in this cycle and you're aware of it, you need to withdraw the supply that you give them. Okay, so for example, you're doing so much for your siblings and your parents and it's not appreciated. You're being abused while you're giving. So let's say you're helping them out financially, or you're helping them out around the house or with other things, but you're being abused in the process and disrespected and treated horribly. You need to withdraw. Okay, because you're enabling this behavior. If you continue to do things outside your duties, of course. I mean, if you've got duties towards your parents and your siblings, which is basic respect and, good conduct, you shouldn't ever treat them badly. You shouldn't ever withdraw their rights. Okay, I'm talking about the extra things that you might do. If you continue to do them, you are communicating to them that they can treat you this way. You're accepting all of this abuse. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to start withdrawing all the good things that you do and stick to the basics and create distance. Now, if you're living with them and it's difficult to create that distance, then spend more time out of the house. If you can't do that, then limit the amount of things that they can get away with. So, for example, your siblings always take advantage of you and they make you drive them everywhere. They could take the bus, they could take the train, but they know you're soft-hearted. So whenever they ask you for a lift somewhere, you leave everything that you're doing and you take them. But in return, they treat you horribly. In return, they don't do anything for you. In return, you're being disrespected. And they make fun of you in front of other people. They're nasty to you. They criticize you. They jab you with harmful comments. They sugarcoat personal attacks and jokes. Okay, they do these things because they're testing your boundaries. They're testing how much they can get away with. And then when you withdraw, they make you feel guilty. They pull out the God card. You're not fulfilling your duties. You're not a good sister. You're not a good daughter. You're not a good wife. You're not a good husband. And they'll manipulate you that way. That's how they reverse Hoover you in, and you end up doing everything again. Okay? You get sucked into a cycle where you keep overgiving because you fall for the manipulation. That's how families tend to operate. So you need to be mindful of that. If your well-being is going down the drain because of how you're being treated, and you keep complaining about, no matter what you do, your family is never happy. It's never good enough. They're always complaining. They're always doing this, they're always doing that. Well, look at the cycle you're allowing yourself to always be sucked into. Do the basics, fulfill their rights, fulfill your duties. You meet them halfway, and you'll be safe on the Day of Judgment for doing that, because you're not taking away anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you to give them. But when you are being harmed by doing things for them, that's when you need to take a step back. And you help them by not enabling that behavior. If you love your family members, help them by stopping the oppression in this cycle to continue. Yes, they won't like it. They're going to kick up a fuss. They're going to guilt trip you with every card they can use. But ultimately, you are doing what's Islamic and what's pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because enabling oppressors is also a sin. And harming yourself by allowing abuse to be inflicted upon you is also a problem that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, warns us about. He doesn't want us to be oppressed. He wants us to be strong, even if it's causing us to stand up against our own family members, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't condone any kind of oppression at all. We have to stand up for our own rights. I know women who get oppressed and abused by their family members, even though they give their parents money. So there are men in the family who could and should be giving their parents money, but because they're so unreliable, they turn to the daughters. So the daughters are working, and they are the ones who are paying for the needs of their parents when they shouldn't have to, and they still get abused. So instead of being treated with kindness and appreciation, they get abused. Instead of the parents holding the brothers accountable and getting them to fulfill their financial needs, they turn to the weak daughters who are easily manipulated. This is where you have to withdraw. Yes, you might think you're doing a good service to your parents by doing this voluntarily, even though it's not your job, it's not your responsibility, it's not even your duty. However, if you are getting oppressed in the process, you have to withdraw, because they're not appreciating it. They feel entitled to it when it's not their right to take from you. Okay? Now, if they appreciate it and they love you for it and they treat you kindly in return, by all means do it. It's considered as a charity for you, and you'll get rewarded for it, because it's not your responsibility. But if you are giving and you're getting oppressed in return, then it's an Islamic obligation to withdraw. And now the responsibility lies on the heads of the brothers who are meant to take that responsibility. It's no longer your problem. If the parents cannot appreciate, then let them take it up with the brothers and step out of it. Because what will happen if you don't? You will fall into a very deep depression. You could leave Islam because they're always manipulating you with religion to get what they want from you, even though they're not entitled to it. And you might even get suicidal thoughts, and all sorts of physical illnesses will come out from this. Okay, some women have run away from home. Some women have been completely destroyed by their parents because they keep enabling this behavior. So they reverse Hoover you with religious manipulation. Allah's not happy with you. Allah's not pleased. Women of the hellfire are in there because they weren't good to their parents. They weren't merciful. They didn't give them money. And this and that and this and that, until you just find yourself always in the same cycle because you're terrified of displeasing Allah. It's the easiest card for narcissists to use when they know you're God-fearing. Okay? When you are someone who loves Allah and they know it, the God card is the first one they put on that table. And if that doesn't work, they will attack your character. You're useless. I'm a failure as a parent because look how you turned out. Look how other people's daughters turned out. Look at you. You're pathetic. You can't even look after your own father. You can't look after your own mother. You can't do this, you can't do that. So they attack your self-worth and self-esteem, and you get hoovered. So get counselling and coaching for this if you are struggling with it. And I promise you're going to be helping your parents in the process. You are eliminating the sins that they are committing by inflicting abuse on you. You are helping them to get better when they hold the right people accountable. You're not being nasty, you're not being cruel, you're not being a horrible person. Even parents can be the worst of people sometimes. So if you struggle to love your family members, then at least love them for the sake of Allah, and don't allow them to continue oppressing you. Okay, do them that favour by stepping away, withdrawing the supply, and allowing them the space to self-reflect and actually appreciate what you're doing. Okay, otherwise you're just going to get destroyed by the same people you call family. Alright? Someone asked, what is the alternative to blocking family members if you cannot remove them from social media? So I would say mute them. If you mute them on social media, you won't see their posts in the feed, because family members can also reverse Hoover you with their posts. So let's say you get kicked out by your family, or you fall out, and maybe you go on to get married, or you go on to live somewhere else. They want to show you that they're having a great time without you. So they post family holidays, they post shopping trips, they post weddings and baby showers and all sorts of things to show you what you're missing. And now you feel rejected and abandoned and you want a way back in. So you contact them. You try your best to resume a relationship. So they're very good at doing this via social media. Okay, they will never ask for you back, even though they need you. You are a wonderful source of supply. You are the empath child. You are the empath sibling. And they need you back. So don't fall for that kind of manipulation because they want you to believe you're the problem. Now that you've left, they're having a great time. So when you believe you're the problem, you now work harder to gain their approval so that you can be accepted again. You see? But they're out there having 101 different problems, but they're obviously not going to show you that. And they know that you're going to feel so depressed, so sad, that you don't have a family who loves you. You always want to be a part of this family because empaths crave family. Empaths crave stability. They want to be loved by their family members, especially their parents. So don't be fooled by what they post on social media after you get kicked out or after you get married. It's done on purpose, especially if they weren't doing it before. And you'll notice that when you do get reverse hoovered into a family situation, they're nice for a short while and then they go back to being the same people again. Because the bait was just to make you jealous. It was just to make you insecure and make you feel inadequate and not worthy of being a part of that family. So when you fall for the bait, they know that they can always use that tactic. That's why it keeps repeating. That's why so many people go through this cycle too many times with their family. And many people also live in fear that if they don't belong to their family, then again Allah will be unhappy with them. So they always need to try and push their way back into that family dynamic just to feel safe and secure when it comes to their Islamic duties. Because if they've been sidelined or exiled or ignored by their family members, they feel uneasy because they always wonder and worry about how Allah will perceive this and if they've done enough to be a part of their family, even though being a part of their family means enduring a lot of abuse, whether that's emotional, verbal, physical, on any level. So there's that internal battle that a lot of people go through when it comes to being reverse hoovered. And the quicker you become aware of these tactics, the easier it will be to make a decision for yourself that will also put your heart at rest when it comes to your Islamic obligations. Okay? People will just take advantage of what you owe them. People will take advantage of your soft heart, your love for Allah. You could be doing everything and more. Most of these people do so much more than they are, required to, but still feel guilty. They still feel the need to do more to please Allah because of how people manipulate them. You need to stop that and end this reverse discard and reverse hoover cycle for your own peace, for your own sanity, and also for your own iman. Okay? Preserve your faith and well-being by stepping out of this cycle and just accepting that you have a very dysfunctional family, unfortunately. And you don't have to keep trying like this. Alhamdulillah, you've managed to meet them halfway. And if they do not help you and cooperate by meeting you halfway too, in mutual respect and with appreciation, in mutual kindness and care, then you don't owe anyone anything. So I hope that answers that question. Now, someone asked, why do narcissists reverse hoover and reverse discard when they know they're the problem? So if you remember the quote I read out at the end of the last podcast from a narcissist, it basically goes to show that they know what they're doing. Okay, it's all about power and control. They're testing your boundaries and you feed their ego when you fall for it. They feel powerful, they feel so mighty. They feel invincible when they can manipulate people so easily and get people to fall into their traps. That's all it's about. That's the long and short of it. It makes them feel so smart, so intelligent, that they can scam people in this kind of way. So because they are ruled by their egos and their qareens, it just makes them feel good. Okay, even though they're self-sabotaging, even though they're ruining their own lives in the process, their ego comes above everything. That's the answer to that. Someone asked, could a narcissist hoover you after a divorce is finalized? So yes, they'll get the Dyson Pro Max out for that one, but only if the civil divorce hasn't been finalized. So if it's just an Islamic divorce, then yes, be prepared for that Dyson to come out. And this is either directly or indirectly. So they can reverse hoover you or they can directly hoover you. And some narcissists will even hoover you after the third talaq. So it's a talaq ba'in. He can't even go back to you after that point. But they'll still try because they're not religious anyway. And you'll find a lot of religious narcissists doing this. They contradict themselves so much with their behavior. You think, this is just basic ABC information. After the third talaq, you can't have me back. Why are you still trying to hoover me? Why are you still trying to get me back into your life? And they'll use 101 excuses. I was angry, I didn't mean it, this, that, until you fall for it. Okay, do you know how many women are in invalid marriages because they fall for a reverse hoover after a third talaq? Because they scam you into believing that the third talaq didn't count when it did. But because they regret it, because they messed up, because their new supply wasn't good enough, or their backburner let them down, they now have to quickly think of a way to get back with the ex-wife. And what's the best way of doing that? By saying that the third talaq didn't count because they were angry when they issued it. And they went and spoke to a sheikh, and the sheikh said, yes, you're right, it doesn't count because you were upset, it was out of character, it was this, it was that. And then they come and tell you that the sheikh said it didn't count. So when they have that reinforcement, then it's easier to scam you. And this can be months and even years later, by the way. This can be a long while after. It doesn't have to be immediate. And some women can do this too after a khula. They can say that someone told them that their reason for khula was invalid. So they want to come back and try again, make the marriage work, because their new supply failed, or their backburner supply got married to someone else. Something happens for them to come back. And sometimes it's just because they heard that you're moving on, or that you're getting married to someone else. They decide to come back to ruin your life, because they can't have you married to someone who is good or better than them. They see that person as a thief who's stealing their supply. That supply belongs to me. I don't care if they're my ex-wife or ex-husband. I'm entitled to that. I'm the priority. I'm the father of their children. So I'm entitled to that supply. So they come running back and, trying to get back in. And you'll tell them, well, you've issued me 3 talaqs. I don't care. I did it when I was angry. You're not marrying that person. You're marrying me. Because they see that person as a threat to their own supply. Because when a narcissist leaves you, they leave you as a backburner. You are always a backburner if they believe there's a way back in. Okay, if they believe there's no way back, you're not a backburner. But if they believe they can come back, they will always see you as their source of supply. No one else is allowed to have it. So they'll come back, not because they love you, not because they've mended their ways, not because they've seen the light, but because they don't want someone else having their supply. And they will sabotage your marriage, they will sabotage your engagement, everything, just to have that supply. So be very careful of this. And this is very common after an Islamic divorce. But it's not so common after the civil divorce is finalized because of how long it takes, because of all the stress, the court appointments, the expenses, all the legal fees. It's a hassle. By the time that's over, the narcissist would have moved on and they know there's no way back. So the civil divorce is usually the process that puts an end to the narcissist coming back, because they know most people are not going to go through all of that again for them. You'd never trust them again. You'd never enter a civil marriage again with them. So they know it's over by that point. But if it's just an Islamic marriage, they can manipulate you with the God card, and they can pull a few strings here and there, get some reinforcement from their flying monkeys, from a sheikh, from people who they've manipulated to reel you back in. But once a civil divorce is finalized, it's very rare that you'll get hoovered after that. Okay? The next question is, can a narcissist hoover you with religious behavior? For example, going for umrah, praying, wearing religious clothes, and so on. Yes, absolutely. So if they weren't that practicing when they were with you, if you were nagging them to pray, if you were begging them to go for umrah and hajj and they didn't want to, if you were asking them to do the basic things so that your children could have a role model in the home and they didn't, then they can hoover you via their social media by showing that they're now very religious and they've seen the light and they're now practicing and spiritual and pious and everything. Maybe they've started to wear hijab and you've been asking them to do that for a long time. Maybe you've been asking them to go for umrah and now all of a sudden they're going on multiple umrah trips. It's a reverse hoover. So not only are they wanting you to wonder why they've changed after leaving you, but they also want you to believe that they've become the person you've always wanted. So you reach out to them. The bait has worked. The worm has fulfilled his job. Okay? So it's all a facade because people don't change that quickly. But lots of people are scammed by this. You'll see them taking photos with Mufti Mink and wearing clothes you once bought for them. A nice thob, a nice abaya. It's all to grab your attention. Okay, they are now painting this fantasy picture of who they've become, but it's not real. It's just to reel you back in. And you can apply this to other things as well. So for example, if you were with someone who was always broke, and now all of a sudden you see them have money. They're driving nice cars, they're very well dressed, that's bait. Or if, for example, you always wanted someone who looks after themselves. They look like a tramp when they were married to you. And all of a sudden, they're in shape. They're going to the gym, lots of gym selfies, lots of videos of them, dressed nicely and doing their hair and whatnot. You see all the comments and validation they get from people in the opposite gender, and it makes you jealous, and you think, well, that's mine. I'm entitled to that. I put up with a lot. I need that. That's mine. So you feel entitled to the fruits of this fake progress that you're seeing, and then you get sucked into a relationship with them again, and nothing's changed. They're still broke. They're still not religious. They're still stupid. Right? They're still a tramp at home. They can't dress up. It was all just the bait. This happens to a lot of people. Don't get fooled by what you see on social media. What you see is just a facade. It's all a fantasy. It's a game. All they're doing is using social media to paint a fake life. It's as simple as that. So yes, you can get hoovered after a divorce. But more often than not, you just end up going back to the same kind of life you had before that you were fed up of and hated. Narcissists gain a lot by keeping you on their social media. A huge sign that they will hoover you one day is if they don't block you or unfollow you or remove you from their follower list. So if they keep you on there, be prepared for a show. They want to know that you are always watching what they do because it means in their minds that you're not over them. Don't give them the satisfaction of watching their show. Don't give them the satisfaction of watching their stories, because when they see you watch their stories, they win. They're laughing. They're like, oh, look at this person who now believes I've changed, who believes that I have a wonderful life now without them. I'm going to keep posting and posting and posting until they crack and contact me. They wait for you to reach out. They never reach out. As long as you're watching their stories They anticipate that you will contact them one day, even if it's in anger. Oh, mashallah, now you become religious. Now you have money. Now you're looking good and going to the gym. Why did you not do that when we were married? Why did you not do this when I asked you to? That is supply for them, even if you're angry, because it opens the door to communication and a conversation. And that's how they start to manipulate you. And before you know it, they're back in your house, or they're back married to you. You're back in a relationship with these people. Don't leave the door open. They love it when you watch their stories because you're watching something that's not real. And they believe you're falling for it. And if you have mutual friends and family members who follow them too, I would ask them to unfollow them. Because they believe that even if you're not watching, your family members are watching, and they will pass on the message. They will tell you about what they've seen. They bank on that. Okay, so don't ask about them so that people don't go and tell them, oh, she was asking about you or he was asking about you, because that gives them a door as well that's opened to communication. They might text you one day and say, oh, I heard the other day that you've been asking about me. You really miss me, huh? Oh, bless you. Yeah, your cousin has been telling me that you've been watching my stories and it's been really making you upset. Don't open that door. They wait for that. So anyone who is following them from your family, ask them to unfollow, block, all of it. When they see that no one from your side can see their stories, they'll stop posting. Because it's all for you. And if it's not for you, it's for other backburners. So if they continue to post, knowing that you're not watching, and knowing that people who know you are not watching, then there's another backburner on there. Okay? Another question that came in was from someone who asked if sex can be used to reverse Hoover you. And the answer is yes. This is one of the common tactics that narcissists use to reel someone back into a toxic relationship. So how it works is they will either seduce you during or straight after conflict to distract you from the main problem. They decide to seduce you in that moment. And it's a moment where you're thinking, why now? This is the worst time ever to want intimacy. Things are toxic. Things are up in the air. There's been yelling, screaming, fighting. It's just a horrible environment. It's been a horrible situation. And all of a sudden they want intimacy. Because they can no longer fight their corner. And they're being exposed. So in that moment, if crying doesn't work, they will resort to seducing you. And this is why so many people think that it's sexy to have intimacy during a fight or straight after a fight, when actually it's an abuse tactic. Okay? It's an abuse tactic to distract you from the actual abuse that's going on. They don't want you to ponder over what you've just seen. Their qareen coming out, their evil side, the things they've just said. They would have said the worst things. And I've told you before, be mindful of what they say in anger because they mean it. This is the subconscious talking. Whatever they say in anger, they mean. So when they realise that they've given themselves away and they've exposed themselves and they can no longer argue what they're trying to defend, they will either resort to slapping themselves, hitting themselves, doing crazy things like that. If that doesn't work, they'll start crying to make you feel sorry for them. And if that doesn't work, then they'll try the intimacy card. So they'll try to seduce you, they'll clamber all over you and start kissing you and all that kind of stuff so that you forget what's happened. And many people get reverse hoovered that way. So it's either done that way or it's done whenever they withdraw it from you for long periods of time. And when you're so fed up and you're about to leave, they give you intimacy or they offer it or they initiate it. After weeks of you asking for it, or even months, when they know you're about to exit the cycle and you're giving up and you're going to accept the reverse discard or, the one that calls your bluff, not the one where they have new supply. The one where they're testing your attachment. Okay, if you accept that, then they can use the intimacy card to reel you back in, and more often than not, that works as well if you're not repulsed by them. It's like magic. And that's why they weaponize sex. It's one of their greatest weapons to use against a victim. Women are more known for this than men, but this is how a lot of men get hoovered back into a horrible marriage. Okay? Now, you can apply this to love bombing as well. So it's not just sex. They can love bomb you by giving you romantic things, romantic experiences, flowers, gifts, chocolates, movie nights, all the things that you've been asking them for such a long time. Even if it's just a hug, they'll start hugging you, they'll start showing affection when they see that you're on your way out. You've had enough. The lid's popped off and they can't lose their supply. They don't tell you they want you back or they want you to stay. They will just switch this on. All of a sudden, they're being affectionate. All of a sudden, the intimacy's back. All of a sudden, things are good again. And it makes you change your mind and you make the decision to stay. It has to be your decision. And they blame you later. Well, you're the one who stayed. You never left. I didn't do anything. They pretend that they didn't play a game because that doesn't last. When the intimacy comes back and the affection and the gifts, that lasts for about a couple of weeks. That doesn't last very long because they can't sustain it. They don't like giving you these things. So it doesn't last very long, and they will keep doing it because they know you always fall for it. Every time you want to leave, all of a sudden they're initiating intimacy. And they know you've been waiting for it for a long time. You've been craving it. You've been dying for it. And they're like, well, now's the best time. And it works. You change your mind. You're like, well, I don't really want to leave this. I really can't be bothered to go and get married again and find someone else and this and that. I'm just going to stay here. You've reversed hoovered yourself into that relationship because you've accepted that they only give you intimacy when you're dying for it. Why do you have to reach that point? You have to recognize this as abuse. If they loved you, they'd give it to you. If they loved you, they'd want to be intimate with you. They're not just doing it for you. They would want it for themselves as well. But they don't. But a lot of people can't think for themselves in that situation because you're so trauma bonded. You don't realize you keep hoovering yourself out of your own accord back into this relationship by accepting this treatment. Why do I only get what I want when I hate you? When I'm at the end of my tether? When I want to leave? When I want a divorce? You're telling me that's love? No, it's never love. It's abuse, and the quicker you come to terms with that, the better for you. It's just a game that they play, and they love it. They find it hilarious. They tell their toxic friends about it and laugh about it with their qareen. Like, oh, can you believe? It worked. It actually worked on them. I'll do that again next time. Easy. The next time this happens and they want to leave, I'll just, play the same old tricks again. But as the saying goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah? I hope that answers that for you. The next question is the silent treatment a reverse Hoover? Yes. Because they want you to be the one who breaks the silent treatment because they know you can't stand it. So instead of apologizing, instead of being held accountable and addressing the issue, they will give you the silent treatment over anything, and they want you to break it, beg, grovel, do whatever it takes for them to start talking to you again. So yes, the silent treatment, more often than not, is a reverse Hoover. The next question is, what does the narcissist think when you unfollow and block them? So they usually think three things. You're either playing a game with them, especially if you keep blocking and unblocking. They just think you're trying to mess with their head. Or they think you're punishing them because you're hurt and upset over the breakup and the loss of the relationship. or they believe you're serious. Okay, they know you're done, and it's a sign from you that you want nothing to do with them. Either way, they're going to test all three to see which one it is. So they'll test it with a direct Hoover, a reverse Hoover. They'll test it through other people until they figure out which one it is, so that they know which steps to take after that. Someone asked, can in-laws and flying monkeys reverse Hoover you on the narcissist's behalf? Can the narcissist use your own family? Yes. They can guilt trip them, they can get them involved, they can see if your own family will break if you can't. They may go to your father, who's very soft-hearted, and manipulate him. She left me, I'm on my own, I did my best, I did my best to look after your daughter, women are just not patient, she wasn't patient enough, I did this and I did that. And so he pulls on the heartstrings of your father. Or a woman will pull on the heartstrings of your mother, or your brother, or whoever. So if they can get your family to feel sorry for them, then they have a higher chance of hoovering you back in, because they know your family will now start to work on you, and they'll start to convince you to give that person another chance. And it's the same with family conflict as well. Sometimes a sheikh will get involved. If your parents go to complain about you to the sheikh, someone who is respected in the community might come to speak to you and tell you that what you're doing is wrong, and your parents are elderly, and that you need to fear Allah. But obviously they haven't told them their side of the story, where they've been the abusers all this time. They've just told the victim story so that you look like the villain. So people do send other people to you to guilt trip you and make you change your mind. And it's an indirect reverse Hoover. Okay? The guilt trip is what makes you come back, not the person. It's how that person makes you feel about your abuser that causes you to come back. And then what usually happens after is, if you take someone back because your family convinced you to give them another chance, and you just end up in the same cycle of abuse, and you get upset and frustrated about it, they say, well, I never asked you to take me back. It was your mum who wanted me to come back. It was your father who wanted me to come back and, give this another go. So they blame the parents or the people who they complained to, who they gave a sob story to, who they played the victim to, when things go wrong, because they know things will go wrong again. But this way, they get to say that it wasn't them who asked for another chance. They put the finger on other people. Like, it was your family who told you to do it. It was my family who told you to do it. I never wanted to come back. I came back because, they made me feel like it was the righteous thing to do. But don't expect anything of me. I haven't changed as a person. So they reverse Hoover you because they have no intention of changing. So when you're the one who wants them back or gives them another chance, it just gives them a pass to obtain free supply without having to work for it. Because you are the one who wants them back, but they haven't given you any indication that they've changed. You see? It's a clever tactic. And if they try to hoover you through your parents or your family members or your friends or colleagues, and you don't accept it, they can get nasty. They can get really nasty if you don't allow anyone to manipulate you, because they're trying to find a way in and they can't. So they switch, and then your parents all of a sudden see a horrible side to them. Like, oh, subhanallah, just last week, he came to me like a little puppy, asking for help and, sob story and victim story. And because you didn't take him back, he's turned horrible. And all of a sudden, the parents see the horrid side of him, the side you've been telling them about for a very long time, and they didn't believe you. That person now turns on your family, because he's punishing them for not being able to convince you. He's putting the blame on them. And then all of a sudden, they expose themselves to everyone because they're angry. And this is the stage when most people, most family members get to see the real side of the narcissist. Until that point, they felt sorry for him or felt sorry for her if it's a woman. But when they don't get their way, when the reverse Hoover, the indirect reverse Hoover doesn't work, they get nasty and everyone sees them for who they really are. Because your family members and your friends now become enemies to them as well. Because they couldn't do anything for them. They were supply. The supply was of no benefit to me, which means I don't need any of you now. I can show you my real face. I can show you what you really mean to me, because the supply I banked on didn't do much for me. So everyone now becomes the enemy and everyone gets to see that face, which is in your favour. And this is when a lot of family members actually stand up for their daughter or their son, because they're like, wow, I'm so sorry. I can't believe you had to deal with such a vile, disgusting person. And they stand up for you and they fight for your rights and they go to court with you and they help you financially and with so many other things. So the exposure, subhanAllah, always ends up being in your favour at that point. The next question is, my ex posted his new supply on social media, but he never posted me. Why do they do this? So narcissists don't always post their new supply or their backburner supplies because, number one, they don't want to be exposed. They don't want anyone knowing who their supplies are, because they lie about who their supplies are. Okay, when you see women or people from the opposite gender on their social media, they lie about who they are. Oh, they're just work colleagues. That's my cousin. That's my auntie. That's my childhood friend. They never want you to know who the supplies are, so they don't post them. The second reason is they know that their relationships with most of them will not last. So it's just embarrassing for them to always post relationships that they know won't last. So let's say they have 10 backburners and they're posting all their relationships with them. It's not going to look good on them at all. Their reputation will be destroyed and their backburners will be exposed. So they're very selective about who they post, and they usually post the trophy whom they believe could be a more permanent source of supply. And that trophy is usually someone from their own swamp. Okay, it's usually another narcissist. They rarely post the empath. They rarely post the codependent. They post the person whom they believe they could last with. And that person is only a toxic codependent or another narcissist like them. They will not post pictures of people or partners whom they're intimidated by. If you look better than them, they won't post you. If you're out of their league, they're not going to post you. They're very insecure and they don't want to see any comments from people saying, wow, how did you get him? How did you get her? They're way out of your league. They're very sensitive to comments like this. So they'll either post someone whom they look so much better than. So it basically looks like the narcissist is the catch. He's either better looking or he's got more money, he's better dressed, whatever it is. You'll always find that the back burner in his pictures or her pictures is not that attractive. They're a downgrade from you because the narcissist has to feel better next to their partner. So you do wonder sometimes, why would they leave me for that? Like, they're not as attractive as you. You're way more attractive than them. You have a lot more than them. That's the whole point. The narcissist only feels secure enough to post pictures of themselves with people who have less. So you won't find them posting the empath wife or the empath husband for that reason. And they also know it's not going to last with you. So they don't want to be shamed for it. So they hold off posting. They might post indirect things here and there, but they won't show who you are. And if they do, it's rare and it's random. But the one they post the hell out of is the backburner supply who they feel better than. And during this time, the backburner thinks that she's won, but she's only a pawn in their game, especially if they're using the backburner to make you jealous. So the backburner is also getting it on her side. He's comparing her to you. He's telling her, you can apply this to women as well who have backburners. He's telling her that you're more attractive than her. He's telling her that you're more nurturing and you're more caring and you're more loving and this and that. So he's making her feel insecure and jealous as well. And that's why the backburner posts the hell out of him. And you'll notice on her page and her stories, she bombards everybody with images and videos of their relationship because she has to prove herself to be the best option. She has to prove to the world that she's good enough and that she was the chosen one. Okay? Now this can get to you. When you see the backburner post all this romantic stuff and all their wedding stuff, their engagement stuff, it can really get to you and it can put you in a really bad place. If you don't understand why all this is happening, it can send you spiraling into a horrible depression. Again, you can have suicidal thoughts over it because you can't stop thinking, why her and not me? Why is she getting everything and not me? Why did he post her and not me? So now you're overthinking and you believe that she's better looking. It's like, well, he must think that she's better looking, that she's better than me for her to be worthy of all these posts. You now start comparing yourself to her and you obsess over her. You start stalking her and your whole life becomes about her. Every day you're checking her social media. Every day you're checking her stories and she's loving it. She's thriving off that because she's narcissistic as well. She loves torturing you with it. But all this time, he's using her to reverse Hoover you. So you may come back and beg for him back. And you may cause drama and, all of that to find out why he's doing this to you. Why did he go to her, especially if she's someone you know? Or someone he always told you was just a friend. She's just my cousin. She's just my work colleague. And you always suspected something. When they finally post about each other, they both know it's going to send you spiraling. So don't fall for it. That's why I'm telling you, block them all. Don't watch what they post. It's all a facade. Because behind closed doors, narcissistic people who marry each other, or even toxic codependents, they fight like cat and dog. It's a very ugly relationship. So what you're seeing is a facade. They're just doing it to torture you. So don't give them satisfaction of watching. Leave them to it. Let them butt heads over it. Because he's only going to try and reverse Hoover you because he wants a reaction. When they do this, they want a reaction. And that reaction opens the door for you to be sucked into a relationship again. At the very least, he will park you. He may park you in his harem garage as a back burner for later. And this reminds me of something a client once told me that I'll share with you here. She said, my ex made me believe that he left the back burner for me. And he reverse hoovered me that way because I was so happy and I felt chosen. So, when this happens, they make you feel privileged. That they left the back burner for you when actually that relationship fell apart. Whenever they have a fight with the back burner, guess who they run to? They run to you. And they make it look like they're choosing you and that they miss you and that you're the better option. But when they make up with the back burner again, when things get better between them, they ghost you, they disappear. So they're doing it to both you and them. When things are good with you, they ghost the back burner. And that's what drives the back burner crazy and makes her obsess over you. She's also stalking you. She's also looking you up and monitoring what you're doing. And possibly from a fake account. Because he's doing to her what he's doing to you. So when they eventually break up and it doesn't go well, that's when they come back. But they make it look like they have left the back burner for you. Because they know that's going to appeal to your ego. and you're going to want to take them back because you're in competition with that backburner now. You see? And even if you're not that keen on getting back with them, you're still hurt, you now feel obliged to take them back because they've left a whole relationship, a whole marriage, because they've told you that they regret their decision, they've seen the error of their ways, and they want to come back to you and make it work with you. So if you are desperate to be chosen, if you feel happy that this person has come back to you because now you feel that you've won, then you're going to get sucked into a horrible cycle again, and before you know it, they'll be looking for new supply, or they'll be contacting another backburner from their harem garage. This is why some women get involved with serial cheaters. They cheat with multiple women because they are always on the lookout for new supply. They know that the supply they're with, the woman they're with, or the man they're with, is not the long-term supply because you're too good for them. They don't feel like they deserve you. They can never reach your standards. They always feel inadequate and inferior to you, so they look for other backburners who they could feel better with. So regardless of whether you take them back or not, you will always be triangulated with other people. And in some weird cases, you could even be triangulated with their sisters and their mothers and family members and so on. Okay? So keep that door firmly shut. It never ends well. If they go to a new supply or a backburner supply, never ever take them back because they will only come back when that relationship crumbles. They never choose you. They only choose you when it suits them because your supply was better. If the grass wasn't greener on that side, they'll come back. It's too late, honey. It's too late to come back. If you let them back in, you're only going to pay for it big time. It's just a trauma you're going to have to experience that you can do without. Whenever they have new supply or backburner supply, they will never try to make it work with you. Okay, if they've all of a sudden stopped trying, stopped chasing, stopped pursuing, they've stopped trying to convince you to take them back and all of that, know that they're busy with a new supply or a backburner. And when they come back, it means something went wrong. They don't miss you, don't romanticize it, don't tell yourself a fake story, don't do any of that. Just save yourself the hassle and the trauma and the time and move on with your life and work on yourselves. Okay, because wallahi, you're going to regret it if you ever take them back. It's never a good idea. They will just use you and waste your time for more supply before they move on to someone else. They can't help it, especially if they are man children and women children. They do this a lot. Okay, I hear so many stories about things like this. So let's move on to the next question. Someone said, my ex-wife got her whole family involved for me to take her back after a talaq that she wanted. And then shortly after I took her back, she applied for a khula. Please explain. So, if someone is asking you for a divorce, go back to my last podcast about this, and you finally give in and you say, okay, it offends them. It offends them that you can actually find the strength within yourself to do it. It means you no longer care about them. You're no longer attached. You're no longer in love. You're just willing to let it all go. At that point, you're done. So they feel rejected and abandoned and humiliated because you're fine with letting them go. They don't want you to be okay with it. They want you to fight and scream and beg and cry and make them feel so important. And that's when they'll insist on the talaq going ahead because they're causing you maximum pain. But when you accept it, because they're calling your bluff at this point, and you say, okay, fine, leave then, if you want to go, anti taliq, it enrages them. That's why they get so angry. How could you do that? Oh my God, you never loved me. You hate me. All of this was fake. I can't believe you actually gave me a talaq. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. And then they run out of the house and cause a huge drama over it. They go and tell their family. They go and tell your family. And it's a huge deal that they make out of it. And you're confused because they've always asked for it. They've always asked you for a divorce, and when you finally give it, they react like this. So it leaves you mind-boggled. And now you're wondering if maybe they were just, emotional, hormonal when they asked for a divorce. Now you're feeling guilty. Maybe I took that decision too quickly. I shouldn't have hurt her like that. I shouldn't have done that to her. So maybe the two families come together and they convince you to take her back, and you say, okay, seeing the drama that she's made and how upset and enraged she is, you're thinking, wow, okay, maybe things will change this time. She clearly doesn't want a divorce. So he took her back, and then shortly after, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks after, he got khula papers in the post from the Sharia Council. And this shocked him, because she had made such a huge drama about coming back, and he took her back, but then she applied for a khula without telling him. He just got the letters in the post. So this sent him spiraling, because now he felt rejected. And the reason why she did this is because she needed to be the one who issued the final discard. You don't get to discard me. I discard you. So she had to come back. She made all that drama just so she could come back and be the one to issue the talaq. She's the one who issued the khula, And it made her feel better, because now she doesn't feel rejected or humiliated, and it's in her control. She's the one now in power because she ended the marriage, knowing now that he's okay letting her go. You see, so it's just for punishment. In that situation, they still don't want to leave, but they have to do that to save their ego, because he's a very good source of supply for her. But to save her face and to save her ego, she had to do that. So she applied for a khula, and she left the house, and he accepted it. He still got a lot of nastiness from her for accepting the khula, but it made her feel a bit better that she was the one to discard him. So sometimes they only come back just to be the ones who issue the final discard. And that's what makes it so confusing and so difficult to process, especially when they get families involved. And subhanAllah, you can see now the wisdom behind Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only giving a man 2 chances to take a wife back. It's so people don't get hoovered all the time, because it's abuse. Allah says to men, you have 2 chances. If you do it a 3rd time, you can't take her back. If Allah left it open, let's say there was a chance for 10 talaqs, can you imagine what abuse women would go through? So Allah gives men 2 chances. The 3rd chance, that's when the door closes, to protect the mental health of people who are constantly divorced out of abuse. And when it comes to the khula, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows a woman to apply for a khula and get divorced, and that's it. If she was to want him back again, she would have to marry him again. So there's no space for her to abuse him with the khula card. Once that's done, that's done. You see? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects people from being hoovered all the time by limiting the number of talaqs that can be issued. And how likely is it for a woman to marry her abuser again after the 3rd talaq? Chances are very slim. And how likely is it for a man to marry his abuser again after a khula? Very slim. That's why Allah places that law. Because if there was no condition for a man to remarry his wife after the 1st or 2nd talaq, if the iddah period has expired, then people would just come in and out of people's lives like it's nothing. So Allah places the condition of marriage after a iddah has expired to make the woman think properly, or to make the man think properly before getting into a commitment again like that. Because a new nikah contract has to be made, a new mahar has to be given. So most people would not want to go through that again, because it's not an easy process. It's an oath you make to Allah again when you marry someone who you've abused before. So women who are smart would never remarry their abuser, and men who are smart would never take back a woman who brutally discarded them in a khula. That's why that condition of marriage is put there. It's actually to protect you from abusers. Because for most people, getting married again is a hassle. It's expensive. It requires a lot of resources and efforts and family involvement, and they can't be bothered. So if they want the final discard, give them the final discard. Alhamdulillah, they're out of your life. Let them have it. Let them have that satisfaction. At the end of the day, they're the losers, not you. They've lost the empath. They have had their ego stroked and boosted by issuing the last discard, but they're still the same people. You get to move on in peace. You get to move on in happiness and be narc free. Don't be sucked into a trauma because of how they discarded you. This is what they do. They have to have the upper hand in everything. Let them have it. Wallah, it's okay to be the villain in their story, because no matter what you do, you'll always be the villain anyway. So just embrace it. Just accept it and be like, you know what, alhamdulillah, at least I don't have to deal with them anymore. Let them have the last say and you move on with your life. Okay? The next question is, my ex contacts me everywhere but doesn't say he wants me back. Is this a reverse Hoover? Of course. They want to stay in your head. They're heat checking you. They want to see your level of emotional involvement. They want insight into your life. They want to see if you're easily hoovered, if you're still attached to them. So they'll reach out to you as a friend. They'll reach out to you to ask about you. They will ask you questions like, are you happy? Have you moved on? What are you doing with your life? You know, they will stalk you on social media and things like that. They're like the man in the bushes, you know. Just picture them like that when they're stalking your stories. Just picture them as the little creepy men in the bushes. Would you like that? No, remove them. They will never tell you that they want you back because they want you to be the one who initiates that conversation. Don't give them satisfaction, remove them and move on. The next question is, my ex says he wants to be civil and stay friends despite our engagement not working out. Why? Again, it's so they can have easy access to your supply and you're the backburner. You're more likely to go back to them into a marriage or any relationship when you're friends. So if they can get you used to their company and used to them being around, then you'll feel more comfortable slipping into a relationship with them again. They've just found another option for now that they think is better. And you may know this option. You may not have found out who the backburner is or the new supply is, but they know you know this person because they're from the community, they're one of your cousins, something like that, right? So if they want to stay friends with you, it's because they want to keep you sweet so you don't expose them for the abuser they are. So let's say you were married to them, engaged to them, you know them very well. They may just be scared that you'll expose them. So if they keep you as a friend, you're less likely to do that. If they're sweet to you, you're less likely to do that. And they may do favors for you as well, like DIY jobs around your house, or, you know, they may give you lifts to places or help you out with jobs and stuff like that just to keep you sweet. So it's either because they want you as a back burner or they don't want you to expose them. Okay? So just bear that in mind. Never stay friends with an ex. It's not good for your future relationship and it's not good for your mental health. Leave people in the past where they belong. Even if this person was an ex-friend, leave them in the past. Especially if they backstabbed you, betrayed you, abused you. Don't let anyone hoover you back into their life. You can forgive, but you don't have to resume a relationship with them. Okay? The next question is, my ex reverse hoovered me and then put conditions on me. How do they do that? So remember when I said to you before that a narcissist will not directly hoover you? Because if they come back into your life, you're going to have conditions. You're going to say to them, if you want to come back in, you need to do X, Y, Z. And they don't want to. So they get you to come back into their life, and they get you to ask for them back and suggest getting back together, and then they get to put the conditions. They say, oh, well, if you want me back, then you need to do this, this, this. They turn the tables on you. And it's because they've managed to manipulate you into believing that you are the problem and it's your fault that you broke up. Like I said, they attack your character, they attack your deen, they attack your faith, and they may have hoovered you indirectly via their social media or via your family and friends, like I mentioned before. So when you are the one who initiates contact and you miss them and you reach out to them, you give them the power to put the conditions. That's how it works. Someone else asked, why does my ex still message me even though he knows I'm married? So when a narcissist reaches out to you or tries to hoover you, indirectly or directly when you're married, it's because they're testing to see if the man you're with now is a rebound or someone you married to get back at them. Okay, so their ego is so inflated that they think anyone new you're with is a rebound because you're trying to get over them. So they test you to see if that's the case. If you respond to them, if you entertain them, if you engage in conversation with them, if they manage to reel you into meeting them, then they automatically assume that this person is a rebound. You married them just to get over them. And that's when they start the hardcore manipulation. Okay, they start to show you the nice side of them again until they get you to cheat on that person or leave that person for them. And sometimes when you do that, that's when they drop you. They leave you. And they turn it around on you and they say, well, you can't be trusted. If you can cheat on your new man, then you're going to do it to me. So they discard you once they sabotage that new relationship you have. Women do this a lot to other people. Okay, women are notorious for this when they're narcissistic. They will always target married men. They will target their married exes because they're in competition with the new woman. They just want to sabotage that relationship. And once that happens, they leave you. They will say, well, you can't be trusted. You went behind your wife's back to speak to me and meet me and talk to me. How can I ever trust you? And then you realize then you've been reeled into a trap. So they just want to see if they have the power to distract you or take you away from someone whom you're saying or you're showing is your rizq, the love of your life, and so on. Okay, so keep that door firmly shut. It's a test, it's a fitna coming your way. Because the shayateen with them want to sabotage a new marriage, especially if you found someone nice after that traumatic experience. Okay, so keep exes and horrid people out of the picture. Like I said, they could be family members or people you used to be friends with. They always assume that this person is a rebound because that's what they do. So they can only see it from their perspective. And because their egos are so big, they think and they like to believe that you'll never get over them. So whoever comes into your life can't be someone who you actually like or admire or love. That's what they want to believe. They just think, oh, it's just a rebound. I can easily hoover them. Let me test them. Let me see how much they still like me. Let me see if they're still in love with me. They're still attached to me, despite them having someone new. And that's when they come in. Okay, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that they are the love of your life because they showed up again and all of that. No, this is Iblis simply sending one of his soldiers into your life to sabotage your healing and your progress and you moving on. And this is also why they hate it when you post on social media. So if they haven't unfollowed you and they can still see your posts and they're stalking your story and you're showing them that you've moved on, you've got engaged, you're getting married, your life is happy, it's joyful, you've got a new job, you're getting in shape, you're living your best life, all of that. When you're showing them that, they hate it. They boil. Their blood boils. And again, they think it's fake because when they do it, it's fake. So they assume you're just putting on a show to annoy them, to torture them, to punish them. So they will still try to hoover you, even when they see everything that you're posting, because they don't believe it's real. So when you get a narcissist who comes into your life to try and hoover you or reverse hoover you, despite you showing that you're happy and that you're moving on, know that it's because when they do it, it's all fake. So they just assume that everyone else does the same thing. That's why they have the audacity to contact you when you've moved on with someone else. And another reason why I advise you to keep them off your social media is when you do eventually move on, inshallah, and you meet someone nice and you post whatever you want to post, I advise against it. I'm really against sharing your personal life on social media, but if you're that kind of person who absolutely has to, then know that a lot of the hasad you will get, a lot of the evil eye you'll get will come from those narcissists. Because they envy you, even if they think it's not real. You'll have haters on your page, stalking you from fake accounts. The backburners, the new supplies, they will all be hating on you for moving on with your life and finding happiness and leaving them in the swamp with your ex, whom they're now seeing, the true colours of. So be careful. I can't say this enough. Stop posting. Don't make a show of your life just to get back at someone or make someone jealous. You're going to attract a lot of bad energy from these narcissists. It's not worth it. It's not flattering to have them as your audience. Okay? So know that when they test you, it's because they believe that it's just a game, it's just a show, it's just a circus. And they will be gutted and angry that they've lost a backburner. So when they see you move on and get married, to them, it's a loss of backburner. And that's why they'll try and test your boundaries to see if you're being serious or not, if it's a show or not, if it's real or not. Okay? The next question is, my ex both directly hoovered me and reverse hoovered me. What kind of narcissist are they? So this goes back to the earlier question of when the brother asked about his ex-wife, who would ask for talaq constantly and torture him in that marriage. This is the reverse discard. And then she reverse hoovered him by getting everyone involved. And then she directly discarded him with the khula. So malignant narcissists are notorious for this. They will reverse discard and reverse hoover you many times during the marriage or the relationship. And then at the end, they want to be the ones who directly discard you because they want to cause maximum pain. But if you accept the discard, that's when you hit their ego. They don't want you to accept the discard. They want to crush you with the brutal, direct discard and be done with it. They don't ever want to see you accept it. So if they can move on with their lives, thinking and seeing that it's destroyed you, they've won. But if they issue the direct discard and then see that you're okay with it, they never get over it. They spend the rest of their lives ruminating over it and being so angry about it. Every time they think about it, it annoys them, it angers them. So that's why you get a mix of everything in one relationship, because they test to see what works on you and what causes maximum pain. And then the way they end it is how they believe will destroy you. Okay, so they will either reverse hoover you if they think that will impact you more, or they will just issue a brutal direct discard if they're malignant narcissists. If they are covert, man children, women children, and they're narcissistic as well, but they're not malignant, they will always reverse hoover you and always reverse discard. And they will only directly discard you once they reach their limit of waiting for you to leave and you don't. Okay? The malignant narcissist and the psychopath will always directly discard you because they have to have that power. So always keep that in mind. The next question is, my ex-wife directly discarded me and she said she hated my guts. But when I moved on with someone else, she was angry and suddenly wanted me back. Why? So again, she wants to sabotage what you have. She hates the fact that you were able to move on and be happy. This is very common amongst narcissistic women who have children with good men. So all of a sudden, she comes back into the picture and she wants him back. She's heard that he's made, wedding preparations with someone else. He's moving on. He's happy. They're celebrating. She gets news of this and all of a sudden she wants him back. All of a sudden she wants to make it work again. All of a sudden she's reminding him that they have a family and they have children and this and that. And that's why so many women get heartbroken in these situations, because the man is always manipulated into taking his baby mama back. She's prioritized because he has children with her, and she knows that. She knows that she holds that power. That's why I tell people, never get with a man who's not fully divorced from his wife yet, both Islamic and civil, because she can always find her way back in when she sees that he's moved on. She may not want him back. She may not love him or have any feelings for him, but she wants to sabotage the new marriage he's in because she has recognized that he's moved on to something better. This can happen with men as well. Men can come back and sabotage his ex-wife's new marriage because of jealousy and envy and not wanting her to move on. Because again, they see this woman as being their supply. She belongs to me. She's mine or mine. But they can only get as far as you let them. Okay? So the ex-baby mama, she may start dressing up whenever he goes to pick up the children. She starts to reverse Hoover him by looking more attractive and contacting him more and all of that. And he starts to see the nice side of her again. It's a game. It's all a satanic game that they play just because they don't want you to move on. And they don't expect you to move on, by the way. They always hope and believe that you'll forever be hung up over them. And that, you're unable to move on because you can't get over them. So when they see that you have found someone you're happy with, their ego takes a hit. How can they move on from me? They should still be in love with me. How can they do that? I'm the best person in the world. They should be there crying and depressed and suicidal over losing me. Right, some extra work has to be done here. So they come and they sabotage. So never trust a narcissist who pops up in your life when you're moving on with someone else and they see you happy. Never, ever, ever. They're only there to sabotage. There's a reason why you broke up with that person. There's a reason why that marriage didn't work out or that friendship didn't work out. Never forget those reasons. Never forget the times when they told you they hated you, when they brutally discarded you. Never forget the abuse. It's very easy to forget the abuse when they come back again in your life looking like angels who have changed and they want the best for you and the kids, and it's all a load of rubbish. All a load of rubbish. They just can't stand the fact that someone will take their supply and that someone will have this nice person who they were married to, and they know you're a nice person. They know you're patient. They know you're tolerated a lot. They know you are good in your core, and they don't want anyone else having that, especially a good person, right? They don't want you to ever have what you deserve, so they will always jump in to ruin a situation, and if they can't do it directly or indirectly, they start a smear campaign. They start to get other people involved to ruin your reputation. They get people to speak to this new person and put them off you. They will do all these kinds of things out of envy and jealousy. So if you are getting to know someone, keep it on the low. Don't reveal your plans until you're married. Don't let anyone tell the ex that you've met someone, that you're all of that. Try and keep it under wraps until you're married. Because sometimes the smear campaign involves them accusing you of cheating on them with that person. They'll say, oh, now I understand why they moved on quickly. Or now I understand why they were happy to leave the marriage. It's because they had someone else. I bet you anything he was cheating on me with her. And then they fabricate the story and it goes round. And sometimes the new person you're with can't take it and they break up with you over it. So try and keep this news as far away from the ex as possible, so you stand a chance of actually moving on and being happy. The next question is, can an employer reverse discard you? The answer is yes. Sometimes an employer or a manager will not want you around because you're a threat. They're jealous of you, envious of you, they can't stand your light, they can't stand your energy, but they have no real excuse to fire you. And they don't want to get into trouble for discrimination because there's no real reason. So people might assume that they're doing it on racial grounds and things like that. So to save themselves the hassle, they make your life a living hell at work until you resign. Okay? They will treat you unfairly. They will treat others better than you. They'll never promote you. They'll never help you out. They give you extra work. They give you responsibilities you're not supposed to carry. They never credit you. They never acknowledge you. They do everything to make your life difficult at work. They'll ignore you. They won't include you in things. And this will cause you to just make the decision to resign. That's how they reverse discard you. And they can also reverse Hoover you by realizing later that actually you were an asset to their team because you took on so much. You took on so much that other people won't take on. And the work you were doing was so much better than the work of other people. So they may reverse Hoover you via HR by offering you a better job, a better salary, so you come back. They will never ask you to come back directly. It's always done via HR. That's how you know you're being reverse Hoovered, after they have pushed you to resign. Okay, so this is really common in the workplace, and it's for people who wondered why they were pushed out of their job that they were really good at. That's the reason. The next question is, I would get discarded after reactive abuse. Is this a direct or indirect discard? So this is considered to be a reverse discard because they put you in a position where you act like them in a conflict. Okay, so reactive abuse is when you go crazy. They have driven you to the point of insanity, and now you're the one screaming, yelling, shouting, smashing things, because they've really pushed your buttons. They've pushed you to the limit. And this is how you react. Okay, after so much abuse, you explode. They use those moments to reverse discard you. They say, right, that's it. I can't be with someone crazy like you. I can't be with you. Everyone will know what a crazy person you are. They might record you in that moment and then use that as an excuse to leave. So they've got no other reason. So they have to fabricate a situation. They create a situation where you go crazy so that they can say, this is the reason why I'm leaving. You're not nice to me. You yell, you scream, you shout, I want to go and marry someone who's nice. You don't deserve to be married to me. You're an abuser. You're a narcissist, you see. And they use this tactic when they have new supply, especially when the new supply is pressurizing them to leave, and they don't really have a reason to leave. So they have to create this situation that will justify them leaving the marriage. And it often works. And they often leave their victim devastated because the victim's self-esteem is now destroyed. The victim now believes that they're a horrible person and that the divorce is their fault and that they really are the narcissist. They really are the abuser, especially if they were recorded and they saw the video. So if the narcissist sent you a video of what you looked like during the reactive abuse, you could forever believe that you are the problem and that you are the monster in that relationship. And you say to yourself, I don't actually blame them for leaving. I'm a horrid person. I have so many clients who come to me saying, I want help because I'm a narcissist, and they're not a narcissist at all. They actually genuinely believe that they are the abuser and they're the psychopath or the narcissist in that relationship or in their past relationship. They sign up for my program for narcissists because they believe they need help with their nafs and their personality disorder. And they show me the videos of their reactive abuse to prove to me that they are the narcissists. And when I tell them they're not, wallahi, they sob. They cry so much from relief just hearing that they're not narcissists, because I explained to them what happened and how they got to that point. It always breaks my heart to see good people believe that about themselves. So this is the damage the reverse discard causes when it's done via reactive abuse. It's a very common tactic and it's a disgusting tactic. So always be wary when you're provoked and you're pushed to reactive abuse. Be wary that they could use this as an opportunity to reverse discard. Try your best to restrain yourselves and don't give them the reaction they want. Try and remain as calm as possible and grey rock them. It's the best way to avoid all of these traumatic experiences and horrible situations. So that was the last question, but there is something I wish to add because I've heard this so many times, and I just want you to be aware of this horrible manipulation tactic that is used in the reverse Hoover, and that's the sickness and suicide card. So they'll pretend to be really sick to Hoover you back into a relationship because they know you have empathy and you'll reach out to them, you'll want to ask about them, communicate with them, check in on them, look after them. That's how they reel you back in. Or they'll tell you that they want to commit suicide. So when does this usually happen? It happens after a reverse discard backfires on them. So let's say you accept a khula, accept a talaq, and they're super angry about it. How dare you accept the talaq? How dare you accept to be without me? All of a sudden they want to commit suicide. They're like, that's it. I want to end my life. I'm going to go and cut my wrists, or drown myself, or jump in front of a train, or jump off a roof. They start threatening you with these things because of their rage. They now want to turn the table on you and they want all attention on them so that you feel terrible for accepting their discard. So let's say, for example, a woman says, I want a talaq. Divorce me. And the husband says, okay, fine. If you want that, I'll give it to you. You've asked me 100 times now. If you want it, you can have it. Out of rage, she'll say, how could you? You don't love me. You hate me. I'm going to go and commit suicide. And she'll run out of the house, even in the middle of the night. And she will disappear. She will leave you looking for her. She will leave you panicking. She will jump out of a moving car if she has to, just to prove a point that she's the victim in this whole situation. She is punishing you for accepting the discard. She will punish you for this, and she'll punish you for other things as well when she doesn't get her way. They use the suicide card very quickly, and they can make themselves sick. They can make themselves throw up on demand. They can cry on demand. They can have a breakdown on demand. It's like they switch something on and it immediately happens. It's very abnormal and strange how they can suddenly start sobbing out of nowhere. They can be sick out of nowhere. I have a client who told me that when he accepted the discard, his wife started to send him pictures of her cutting her wrists in the bathroom to show him that she really was going to go ahead with it and that it would be all his fault. So he panicked. He didn't want to get into any trouble with the police. He was going crazy at this point because he thought, if something happens to her, I'll never forgive myself. So he took her back. He took her back and said to her, I'm sorry. He's the one now begging and pleading for her forgiveness. He's now doing anything he can just to make it stop. But they do crazy things like that. They will pretend to go onto the roof and they'll tell you that they're about to jump. They'll tell you that they're at the train station. They'll send you a picture of them being on the tube at the train station and they'll say, I'm going to jump. If you don't take me back, I'm going to jump. If you don't do this, I'm going to jump. You making me do this. I hate my life. You've ruined my life. Subhanallah. You're the one who asked for a divorce, and when I accepted it, I'm the one ruining your life? That's when they call your bluff. So they use the suicide card to get to you, to punish you, to torture you, and to get their way. It's disgusting. It is filthy. It is vile. And the worst of narcissists will do this. If you are with the worst of narcissists, they will use the suicide card. They are malignant. They're the ones who lash out and they're physical. They will physically abuse you. Even if they're women, they will physically abuse you to punish you for standing up for yourself, accepting the discard, and all of that. They may even bang their heads on the wall. Lots of people have reported seeing that. Someone said that, his wife started doing that and tearing her clothes. When I accept a discard or I say to her, fine, let's get divorced, it's fine, no problem. Let's just do it because I hate you now. If you tell a narcissist you hate them, they'll start, hitting their head against the wall or having a weird tantrum on the floor. They'll start scratching themselves, making themselves bleed. They'll punch themselves just for you to panic. And they also do this to distract you from what they've just done. So if they've abused you and you haven't given them the reaction that they wanted, they'll react in that way to completely throw you off track, to completely make you forget about what they've just done. Now all the attention is on calming this person down and making them feel loved, and you stroke their ego and you stroke their hair. I love you, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen again. You see how they manipulate the whole situation? And they make you forget about everything they've done. Because now you have to say sorry for getting them to that point where they're going crazy. Where they're now harming themselves, making themselves sick, sobbing like a crazy person, and running out in the middle of the night and going missing, and them switching off their phones, by the way, too. They'll run out at 3 o'clock in the morning and they'll switch off their phone. And they'll make you look for them in the dark, and you've got work the next morning. I've had people tell me that this has happened to them. I've had people tell me that they've seen narcissists take loads of pills and pretend to overdose. I've heard so much rubbish. So I'm just giving you a heads up that they will do this. And it's all manipulation. So what I'd like you to do in this situation is remain as calm as possible and don't react. If they start threatening you with suicide and self-harm and they have a tantrum, let them do it. Let them have the tantrum, because there is no one who is more scared of death than a narcissist, especially a malignant one. They will never do it. And if that narcissist is someone who pretends to be very pious and righteous and religious, and they always belittle you for not being religious enough or not as good as them, in that moment, I want you to just think, before you react, before you panic, just think for just 2 minutes and ask yourself, why does Sharia law apply to me and not to them? Do they not know killing themselves is haram? Question them. Say, mashallah, you are a sheikh of all sheikhs. You're so pious and righteous and you pray and you know Sharia. You're very knowledgeable. Do you not know that committing suicide is haram? And that self-harm is haram? And doing all of this is haram? That's just basic kindergarten knowledge. Why is it that you're going to do that? Is that how you want your end to be? After all the work you've done in this life, you want to end your life like this and go to Jahannam? Is that what you want for yourself? Or can we sit like civilized humans and have a conversation about this? Remain composed and just ask them that simple question. Because they will think you are a fool if you start to panic. Because they're not going to do it. There are so many people who threaten suicide all the time. Because it's a very easy way to get what they want from their victims. But it's not your problem what they do. It's not in your control. That's their problem. If that's what they want to do, It's not you who will be held accountable for that, it's them. Remind them of that in that situation. They will hate it. Oh, they will rage about it. But when you do that, they will never use the suicide card on you again. And they won't have their crazy moments. They won't be sick and use sickness to reel you back in and make you feel guilty and make you feel terrible. Don't give them a reaction. Don't feed it. Wallahi, they will just lose respect for you if you fall for it. And they'll treat you worse. So don't give them a reaction. Don't feed this behavior by panicking and showing them that you believe them. And they will never use that card again because it doesn't work on you. Believe me, take it from me. It's happened to me before and that's exactly what I did. It happened once and never again because it didn't work. Just say something like that to them. It will shame them because it will make them look like they are stupid. MashaAllah, you know all this Islamic knowledge. And you don't know this? Oh, I thought you knew everything. I thought you were like so much better than me. This is information even I know that it's haram. Just talk to them like that. And believe me, they will never play that card on you again. They will hate you for it. They might even directly discard you at that point because it's embarrassing. But if you let it slide, if you let the sickness card work, if you let the tantrum card work, if you let the suicide card work, they will always use it on you because they know they can always make you panic. And, they will say things like, you'll never be able to forgive yourself. You'll get jailed because people will think you did it to me, that you murdered me. They will think that you pushed me off a cliff or off the roof, or they will say things like this. They might even say, I'll haunt you for the rest of your life. Just to get a reaction out of you, they want to instill fear in you. So when all else fails, they will try to intimidate you with this card. Parents can do it, siblings can do it, your spouse can do it. Even your teenage and adult children can do it, just to manipulate you. Don't feed it. Okay, if you want to save yourself from this trauma that keeps repeating, because I know lots of people go through this continuously, just put your foot down and say, well, if that's what you really want to do, if that's how you want to end your life, there's nothing I can do about it. That's your choice, not mine. You have an option of resolving this like a normal human being. But if you don't want to, then I have no option but to call the Samaritans for you or call an ambulance for you because I don't know what to do. If you're at the point of, being suicidal, then you need psychotherapy. You need to go to a clinic and get some help for this. I can't deal with it. So when you tell them you're going to call an ambulance, they hate it. They're like, no, I don't want an ambulance. I don't need an ambulance. Well, yeah, you don't need one because you're not actually going to do it. So whenever they play up like that, whenever they have a breakdown, they're banging their heads against a wall, they're screaming, shouting, they're having a psychotic fit, just tell them, I'm going to call an ambulance for you. I'm going to call a psychotherapy clinic. I'm going to get you sectioned, mate. Because you're not normal, and this isn't normal. You need professional help. It's beyond my scope of expertise at this point. I'm just a wife. I'm just a husband. I can't help you in this situation. And you'll see how quickly they switch off. And the waterworks stop. And all that crazy behaviour stops because now they're worried that you're going to get authorities involved. You're going to get the Samaritans and doctors involved. So they'll be careful. And you can thank me later. Believe me, it works. And it's funny that they think that you'll be terrified that they will haunt you after they die. Tell them, mate, you've been haunting me while you're alive. I've been sleeping with one eye open for the last 20 years, for God's sake. So, yeah, it's crazy. And another thing is, some people will even start fainting. Women are notorious for this when they're narcissists. They start fainting and, looking like they're about to die. They do things like that just to get your attention again and to divert you from the original problem. And there are also some narcissists who are always in and out of hospital for attention. So they may be, for example, they may go in because they have the cold the common winter cold, and then they'll send you a picture of themselves on a hospital bed, and they'll make it look like they're on a life support machine. They'll make it look like they're dying, just to get a reaction out of you. Even if this is after divorce, they do this a lot when you're still married to them. Parents will do this, siblings will do this, friends will do this, for sympathy and attention, even though it's all staged. But it's also common for exes to do this as well when they want to hoover you back into a relationship. And many people fall for it. They get worried. They know you're going to rush to the hospital and find out what's happened and take care of them. And, you'll forget so many things because you'll feel sorry for them. Don't worry about the problem. Don't worry about what made me upset. As long as you're okay, as long as you've survived, as long as you're not on life support, you're not in a coma, alhamdulillah. It's all good. Don't worry about anything. When you're an empath, they know that the hospital card works. They will always be in hospital. They will always be having blood tests, and it's just to manipulate you. Even if you're married to them or you've got narc parents, they always want to go to freaking hospital. They always want to go because it distracts you from their psychotic behaviour. And they will go for anything. They start coughing, they want to go to hospital. They get the hiccups, it's time to go to hospital. And they'll call you when you're at work. They'll say, I need you to take me to hospital. Why? What have you got? Is everything okay? What happened? Oh, I'm just coughing. Oh, I think I'm dying because this cough, it hasn't gone away in 24 hours. Or I'm sneezing. I haven't stopped sneezing for the last hour. I've got COVID. I'm going to die from COVID. If you don't take me to hospital and I die in the house, it's all going to be your fault. And I will never forgive you in front of Allah. My murder will be on your head because you didn't take me to hospital. Do you really want that on your head? Come back now and take me to hospital. And if you do this to a narcissistic wife, and, she wants to go to hospital for the 10th time that month over something trivial, and you say to her, I'm not going to leave work to take you to hospital, just take a paracetamol and you'll be fine. Just relax, just sleep, just drink some water, you'll be fine. If you're not better by tomorrow, I'll take you. And then God help you for the drama that comes after that. You don't love me, you hate me, you've never loved me, I want a divorce. I want this and I want that. You come home to hell. You come home to absolute hell because you did not take them to hospital. And they make a whole drama about it again to divert your attention because now it's all about you not caring about them and not loving them. Even though you've taken them 10 times that month. And the doctors always said, you didn't have to come in. You didn't have to come into hospital. Just take a paracetamol. Just take a chill pill for a change. And stop wasting our time. Or they'll say, Mrs. Khan, for the 50th time, you are not pregnant. Buy a freaking pregnancy test and do it at home before you come to hospital whenever you assume that you're pregnant. It happens. They do this to abuse you as well, all these hospital and doctor trips. You think it's because they're OCD or paranoid? No. If hell follows it, then it's abuse. And it's a very subtle way of them reverse hoovering you into the relationship because they want to show you that you still care about them. They're like, oh, I knew you loved me. I knew you still cared about me. I didn't believe you when you said you wanted a divorce. I didn't believe you when you said to me the other day that you hated me and you can't wait to get rid of me and life would be so much better without me. I didn't believe that. Look at you now. You cancelled your meeting with the CEO, or you cancelled a meeting for a very important interview that you had to go today for a very good job, just to take me to hospital because of my hiccups. Don't you ever tell me that you don't love me. I know you love me. You will love me. You better love me. That's what they do. They try to brainwash you into believing that you still love them and care about them and you're willing to do anything for them. And they get the satisfaction of ruining and sabotaging your time at work, meetings, important interviews, maybe time with family. They will take you from something so important to go to the hospital. Look at the times they pick to call you, to make you leave and take them. It's always, usually, when you've got something important to do or when you're at risk of ruining something. that's when they are urgently in need of being taken to the doctor or the hospital. And when they get the satisfaction of ruining something for you or disrupting your day or stressing you out, they'll reward you for it. And they'll do that by being nice and being sweet so that you get used to, this good behavior every time you do what they want. Like, wow, the only time she's sweet to me is when I leave work to take her to hospital and do this and do that. So it programs you to always leave work on demand when they want you to, or to always drop what you're doing to cater to their needs, even if it's not in your benefit, even if it's detrimental to you getting a job or keeping your job even. They will reward you for that. You'll see a smirk on their face when you tell them that you've been warned at work that if you keep taking time off like this, you're going to lose your job. Or when you tell them that you didn't get that job because you couldn't attend the interview and someone else got the position. Or when you tell them that you got told off at work for doing this or doing that because of them. They love it. They love you being put in those situations. So when they're asking you for unreasonable things and they won't take no for an answer, and then they create a whole drama about it if you say no, and it turns into a horrible evening where you can't sleep. They keep you up because they're fighting, yelling, screaming, arguing, because you did not take them to hospital that day because you couldn't take time off work. They will punish you for that. There is serious punishment for that. So if you comply, then you've been reverse hoovered, because you're accepting something that's currently unacceptable to you. Okay? That's how you keep yourself in a cycle with the abuser. So, yeah, it's quite the experience. And I hope this Q&A has helped you, inshallah. I will wrap it up here. And I'd like to kindly remind you that the reverse discard or the direct discard is a blessing in disguise. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rescuing you. Don't ever forget that. It's the best thing that will ever happen to you, believe me. So, yeah, sit tight and let them do their thing. Let them have the discard. Let them do whatever it is they want to do. As long as you're out of it, say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praises to the Most High. I really hope that this podcast helped you. There were some really great questions today. So inshallah, that will give you closure and a deeper understanding of your situation, especially if you're going through all of this right now. And I really hope and pray that this content will help save at least one person out there and equip you all to deal with this kind of abuse so you can protect your mental health and your spiritual health and everything else. And inshallah, the next podcast will be about the narcissistic collapse. So it's basically about what happens to a narcissist when they have no supply at all. So stay tuned for that one. And as always, this is a reminder of how important it is to take red flags seriously. Okay, because this is what you're going to go through if you brush red flags under the carpet and end up marrying a narcissist or a psychopath. It's not fun. It's not a great journey. It's highly stressful and traumatic. And these podcasts are being recorded to warn you so that you can avoid making the same mistake many people have made. Okay, please take it seriously and love yourselves. Choose better for yourselves, because all of this is an absolute nightmare to go through. So it's been a pleasure. And until the next podcast, inshallah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.